Welcome, everybody. We are here today with Tannis Stuckless, and she is coming from Alberta, Canada. And we have a lot to talk about today in regard to health and wellness and healing and all kinds of good things. Just going to be a good conversation between like-minded folks today. We also have Liz and Anna with us again.
Morning.
Hello, everybody.
Good morning.
Good morning. It's actually afternoon, but carry on.
Yeah.
Yes, for all of us, that's true.
And,
just me.
Yeah, you've a couple hours behind us, and I've been in a time warp today, and well, not just today, yesterday as well. And yeah, those days are kind of really interesting because it's almost as if this whole no time thing is really catching up to me in a way that I really have to remind myself constantly, even what day it is. And if anybody else is having those kind of issues, but I sure have been.
It's like what's it called? Mind fog. It's like brain fog. Brain fog.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's just more of a time warp. I don't feel like I have brain fog at all. It's just I don't know. Time has just become so elusive, And yeah. Anyway, I think it's all part of the healing journey, though, too, that we're on, and which I don't know leads me to want to talk about the different modalities of healing that we've all been experiencing lately and practice this, that, and the other. I've had a really good healing session, a clearing session with Tannis recently. And it's very thorough. This work she does is known as Halo. And if you could talk about that a little bit, I would love for you to turn everybody else on to it that doesn't know.
Sure. Yeah, I can talk about Halo. So Halo is kind of, if anybody's heard of SRT, which is spiritual response therapy, it's kind of like it came from that, but it's more, let's say, less religion, more spiritual, and a lot less redundant in some of the things that was in the SRT. But the Halo is both of them are like a charting system. So basically, you work with a pendulum, and so the pendulum works with the high self of the client and directs, the way that it goes and what gets cleared and in what order, because I believe that order is also important so that more gets cleared and it sticks. So on the Halo, there's 26 different charts that the client's high self will lead me to. And on each chart, there's, more things on there too. Like the energy and programs on chart 1 is 150 different items that, we could be led to. And what it does is that it goes into, all like this lifetime and all others. And it clears as much as it can, because you can't do everything at once, unfortunately. That would be way too much load on the spiritual soul body and your physical self, because, we're all of it's together and works together, and emotional and mental as well.
So Tannis,
yeah.
Tannis, what are clients usually going through or working through when they find you? I mean, I know you probably can't help everybody with everything, but what kind of clients find you?
The ones that are seeking healing, honestly, and I'm going to say healing in a broad spectrum, because honestly, we don't even know what we need healing from. We know that there's something amiss, because that good old subconscious likes to not reveal its little secrets.
Well, actually, that goes. Oh, sorry, Tannis, carry on.
No, go ahead. Ask Anna.
I was just going to say that goes along with what I was just about to ask, which is, if someone was to contact you, do they always have to be at a level of understanding what you do, or can someone, a complete novice who doesn't really know much about spirits or anything, can they contact you and have a session, or do they have to have some sort of prior knowledge to what it is you're
No.
doing?
They just have to be open, Anna.
Okay.
They have to be open to the healing that comes to them. And the thing is, I love when people recommend, services and everything to you, but please don't ever make anybody. So it's like, your spouse or something is like, oh, you got to do this. And they're like, I don't really feel like it. Then honor that. Because if you're bringing that, I don't really want to be here kind of thing, it's really not going to do much either, because it'll do some things, but it's not going to have the same capacity as if you were actually a willing participant. Yeah.
Oh, exactly. I think that's true for all healing. So
Absolutely. Yep. You
And
betcha.
being somebody who, just going to say, being somebody who has been through many, many sessions, hundreds, if not thousands, even since I would say the early '80s, when I really started exploring healing my life and having others help in that regard. That your work is extremely thorough, and I love how it's guided. It's like connecting with you, connecting with source, and then connecting with you, our higher selves, connecting. And then I just felt like everything was so guided to be exactly what I needed to have cleared. And it's rewriting too, that you're rewriting the story, the rewriting the script, so to speak, I guess. Because the subconscious, something that I didn't even know how to access up until, I would say, sometime like early 2000s. Anybody that try to help me go there. I could do all kinds of other healing sessions, and I received really well, but accessing my subconscious, it was on lockdown. Anybody tried to do it, I'd get migraines. It was horrible. I even had days when I could not even see for a couple of days. Like I just had to lay still because there was just, my subconscious was on lockdown. But this really helped me to rewrite the stories, the scripts, the things that were going on with me. And it cleared 5 generations is what we got, and that, I felt such a lightness of being within that. But I also recognize like when some things are starting to creep back, it's like I'm really ultra aware of it now. Let's put it that way. It's something's kind of trying to creep back and rewrite the script again. And it's just like, no, get behind me. Not gonna happen.
That's excellent awareness, Kelly. That's awesome that you're doing that, because it's true. We can clear a lot of different things on a session, but it's also up to you whether you invite those energies back.
yeah, I was going to ask Tannis, what do we think as a group? Why do things creep back?
Oh, addiction, habit, being familiar makes you feel comfortable. That's just from my opinion.
Sometimes feeling victimized or wanting to be the victim.
Yes.
Yeah.
Like
Also,
I said,
it can go deeply ingrained in you, like for several lifetimes. That like the lies, guilt, and shame program has been going on for like how many millennia, right? So
I think it's a really hard one to kick.
Exactly, because it's been ingrained in us from like basically an inception. And so like I said, we can't clear everything at once. So I mean, when we do layers, sometimes the layers that we didn't get to, they can reveal itself as well. And you can, like what Kelly just said, he's recognizing it and he's saying, not today, thank you.
Yep,
I think our genetic. Oh, sorry, Anna, go ahead.
There are people out there who are so used to chaos and drama or depression or anxiety or any of these things that they attach themselves to. They can't help but take themselves back to it because they're so comfortable. And if everything starts going okay and they're feeling okay and there's no chaos around, it panics them. So
yeah, I think it's like an addiction. I think our neurons fire together that are addicted to the trauma or the painful event or memory.
Yes,
and it takes practice for the DNA to actually shift, for those patterns to shift. And, you know, some people say it takes, you know, 21 days. Some people say less or even more time. And I think it just, of course, is going to be up to the person how open they are. But there is truth to it. Like some people just not get it because the DNA is not activated enough. And the only way it's going to be activated is if those patterns are changed and people start responding differently emotionally. And, you know, it's on all levels, really. You know, we've just got to so it is funny how much awareness my dad has that he's never going to change. And he said, you know, it's like not happening in this lifetime. You just need to get used to that. I'm like, oh, well, that was just a really interesting thing to say. But okay, gotcha. So
well, you have to leave him to it because it's his choice.
Absolutely, 100%.
And so it is, because when you speak it and you speak it, there
Right?
it is.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Oh,
I think
yes.
too, there's a
definitely.
hereditary aspect as well, epigenetically, where
Mhm.
I've been doing some clearings recently. I was talking to Kelly and Anna about this earlier, that hereditary piece too, down the
Mhm.
family line and generations, can be a real deep one. And I've done some deep work recently on that too, and feel much clearer. So it's all the things, right?
Mhm.
And also,
Gener-
I was going to ask all three of you actually, could you have things attached? Well, obviously, I think you can have things attached to you that have caused addictions or bad behaviors or anxieties that are actually from other people or other like people in your a different generation, or it's been passed down to you, like you just said, Liz, hereditary.
Or just passing through from the mass consciousness too. Yeah.
Mhm.
Yes, or
100%.
picking up from a close friend or something like that. Can you take on all of their like problems as well? Not
Boy,
all
I
of them.
can.
I think so. If you're not careful, that's why we need to do our energetic protection, like Kim's talking
Mhm.
about. It's super important. And actually, just a fun thing, I've actually added her little song that she talks about. I've made a stupid TikTok type song on the edge of my field after I do my other protection stuff. So if anyone tries
Remind
to
us of
read
that
me,
song. Go on.
what as soon as someone tries to read me, they just get da 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 da, some dumb song, right? Mhm.
I thought you were going to sing the song. I can't remember what it
Oh,
is.
based on what Kim said. Oh, I get it now.
Yeah, when
Okay.
she was talking about her
Right.
protection, how she has a
Yeah,
dumb
right.
nursery
Just
rhyme.
scramble. Yeah,
Scramble.
you know, I've been doing that automatically for the longest time.
Nice.
I just go to cray cray mode, to where it's just like I'm only gonna be funny to myself. It's like it's gonna confuse the hell out of everybody else. But you know, I can amuse myself quite easily sometimes with that kind of thing.
I need to
Yeah.
remember that song she sang now.
Well, you know the TikTok song when you see like some big Malinois, Belgian Malinois jumping 30 feet over a jump, and you get this badass rap song about how
Oh,
smart
yeah.
the dog is, and then it goes to the husky trying to retrieve a ball in the bush, and you just get this dumb like da 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 da. I can't even do the tune, but that's the song I'm putting at the edge of my field. But I've got a mirror and I've got like camouflage netting, and then I put that out there. Because to answer your question, Anna, I feel like I don't want anything from the mass consciousness. Let's say you have a suicidal thought drift through you. That's not yours. You don't even have to own it. You say, get the hell away from me. And you can begin to remove some of those attachments, or and not be attached if you just go, I am clean and clear as much as we're able to in this life with our
Mhm.
personal work. But I am not taking that on. You said, like, it's even biblical, like, get behind me, Satan, kind of stuff.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
Mm.
that happened to me probably 3 times this past week, where I actually had a suicidal thought, and I was like, "What?
What? Right?
No, not even." It's like, this is not mine. Go
Get the
away.
hell out of
And,
here. Mhm.
yeah, and that's when it's just like I do get into the silly mode, and I start singing to the cat, or start, like, you know, just being just super silly and changing the mood, you know. But those things haven't happened for a while, and I think the important thing is to not judge or beat ourselves up for not being there, so to speak, because I think a lot of people in the healing journey think that, you know, once you do some work, it's like, hey, that should be enough, right? But it's not. It never is. It's like forgiveness.
Never
For me,
enough.
forgiveness is a daily thing. I've got to forgive the same people almost every single day. You
Yeah.
know,
Hey, I did the workshop. I'm whole, right? And then the ego takes over.
right? Yeah.
Mhm.
No, you just
Yep.
done a dimmer switch.
Mhm.
Oh, right. The dimmer switches. Yeah, that's
No,
my.
I'm still laughing at Kelly saying the other day, I'm enlightened. No, love, you're on a dimmer switch.
Yeah, you're on a dimmer switch. That's exactly what, because I've heard that so many people think that it's like something you can just turn on. And I had a friend, I'd say about 10 years back, that was the goal. It's like, I'm going to be enlightened. I'm going to do this and I'm going to do that. And just pushed himself so incredibly hard that he just turned out to be an absolute disaster to be around. I'm just like, I can't even be in your presence anymore, even though I know you want to be God. However, it's like, yeah, it's not going to work like that. It's like, it's not a once and done thing. You can't just flip the switch. We're on a dimmer switch here. It's like, and sometimes it's high, and sometimes we have to turn it down low just so we can camouflage ourselves, like you're saying, camouflage, Liz. It's like, that's something that we have to do. Sometimes we have to kind of like dim our light to just be in the background so that we don't stand out, because that's sometimes putting a target on your back. I don't like, that's not where we're going, but that's where we come out of. I think a lot of us, that I don't know, sometimes we might shine too bright in the darkness, and it's not, I've kind of had to learn how to fade into with the furniture.
I have a question for all three of you, especially like when it comes to clearing. Take as if you're speaking to complete newbies who know absolutely nothing. What is the biggest piece of advice you'd give someone to start their clearing process, to get ready to clear and to be in the right mindset? Start with Tannis. If that's okay.
Remove cords every day. Remove your cords.
Okay. Can you elaborate on that?
Yeah, like some people call it cutting cords, but I don't like. To me, when I hear cut, I picture like a knife or scissors, and that's not the way that I want to remove cords. I just do it with love and energy. So
yeah, I think it's good to the shamans taught me to uproot them gently, because if you cut them, they can grow back like a rascally myrtle tree or something.
And just for those people who don't know what you mean by cord, could you give an example?
Well, anytime that you speak to somebody, you create an energetic cord between you and that person. And that's as much as I love that person. Even with my husband, I remove cords every single night before I go to bed, because I don't want to take anybody else's energy with me while I sleep.
Right.
Yeah.
Good. Kelly or Liz?
What I would
yeah.
I was gonna say, what I would recommend is getting to the positive self-talk, for sure. Because I know for myself, my mind used to be a war zone, and it could just take one little thing that triggered me, like, and I would suddenly be in a loop, with that person's an enemy, and then I'm going after him. You know what I mean? It's just kind of like it wasn't pleasant, and so it took me a long time to go through that kind of thing. And when I was doing shadow work, at one time I saw myself as my anti-self, and that anti-self was holding a huge knife too, cloaked in black with a big knife. And I was like, whoa, okay. Because I'm a very visual person. So when I meditate very deep, and I get some really wild visuals. And then I was like, okay, what is this about? And it was about embracing and then loving that, because it's like, it vanishes. It's like if you want to embrace that whole thing about embracing. I didn't understand that. I was like, oh, how are you going to embrace the darkness? And it's like, that's just gonna, it was confusing for me at first, but I felt reaching out and being like, oh, I love you. It's like, you're just wounded, it's like, you don't really want to hurt yourself or anybody else. You just want to be the loving kid that you were growing up before you were so damaged and wounded, and abused. And that did transmute the energy. And that's another, I think that's another big thing that we should probably discuss, that would be helpful for others, is this whole thing about transmutation, because you can let go of anything. You can uproot cords or whatever, but that energy has to be transformed, because energy never dies,
Yes.
but but if you just try to let go of it or try to push it away or whatever, it's just going to come back stronger, unless we actively do something to transmute it in our own consciousness. And that's what I got really good at once I was able to do that. And I think that's why I was called to do so many strange things in many, many different areas. And then I started working with the grid, things like that. But self-talk, let's get back to that. I think self-talk is one of the things that helped me the most, to just get to where it's like my mind was not a war zone anymore, and I was able to say good things to myself. Liz?
Yeah, I like all of that. And I think it's all of a piece and it's a little something every day. Like we've talked about, you don't just do it once. But I talk to my clients about grounding and running energy. And I won't go into great detail about that, but where you basically imagine light coming down to you from source or from this cosmic central sun or from the sun. It all comes from all of that down through your body, down to the center of the earth. And then intentionally grounding stuff that's not yours, all energy that's not yours, down into the center of the earth, because Gaia, Terra can handle it. And then running energy where you get that light from source mixing with the light from the earth, beautiful earth energy, and you just run it through your systems. I can talk about that in detail another time, but just for brevity here, running that energy in a toroidal sense, I can never say that word, and you just run energy for yourself. And then do the protection would be the third thing, like I talked about. At the edge of my field, I have a mirror. I send anything coming back to me equivalent back. You can do times 4 or times 10. I do times 1. Whatever is sent to me, it's sent back to sender. Thank you very much. And then I have some sort of dusty camouflage netting. And then now I'm putting that silly song. So ain't nothing getting in. And I'm just still doing our own work every day, but grounding and running energy and protection. That's what I would say.
Very good. And mine would be much like Tannis says, to cut the cord, also to cut toxic people off, not in a nasty way. You don't have to fight and be mean or nasty. Just if you can see a person in your life is not serving you if you always come away from it with very bad, low energy, then you need to start cutting that person or persons away from you and just learning to live, first of all, by yourself, and then start adding friends again, because I was surrounded by very toxic people, but I didn't want to get rid of them because then I'd be alone. But I'm actually much better off alone now. I've tried it. And then
right,
now
because you'll attract a new tribe to yourself. Sorry to interrupt, but you'll attract a new tribe. Yeah.
Yeah, you could start again, even though it was scary. They were awful, like energy vampires almost. So don't drag around toxic people with you just because you don't want to be alone.
Yeah, good boundaries, some good boundary work. I'm hearing you.
Good question. Yep. Sorry. Yeah, carry on.
Can I just add a little bit onto that too, Anna? Because
sure.
So I worked in large corporations as a corporate manager for many years. And for one thing, I never ever shielded myself working with, hundreds of people a day. And I'm also a triple empath. So that really doesn't work for working with a lot of people, not being shielded and not cutting cords or removing cords either.
Wow.
So I can imagine why I got so sick. Anyways, I was very motivated to be like, like the whole thing that we all were kind of ingrained with, a lot of us anyways. But I basically worked myself to sickness, and that's, I think these things kind of come up for a reason, but it basically, then it started my journey of self-awareness and healing. And I lived in victim mode pretty much my whole life. Many people do. Yes. Yeah. And I was also a people pleaser because, working with people, you feel like you just, you have to be that people pleaser, especially as a manager, right? And so I think the biggest thing that changed my life completely, actually saved my life, was changing my perspective, for one, of coming out of that victim mode, but also gratitude and being grateful for every single freaking thing in your life. Even if you think it's shitty, be grateful for it because it came to you for a reason.
Right. They're our best teachers, those things. Yeah.
That's a good one.
It's the awareness. Exactly.
Every
And
bad time gives you a lesson.
yes,
Mhm.
and it'll just keep coming to you until you learn it. So,
And that's what I feel
but
like I tell.
when I started doing, go ahead, Liz.
Sorry. I was gonna say, all those lessons, all the unfortunate times, I always ask my clients and myself, like, where's the love and the wisdom in all of that?
Yeah,
Mhm.
absolutely.
Yeah,
Because
and it's in forgiveness as well. And forgiveness is a
yes,
huge component as well. And something that
for your,
I could not actually, I think it was probably one of the most difficult things for me because I I just felt like that it was impinging on my boundaries if I forgave. I was like, I think they've got it all wrong. I was like, I think that this whole spiritual forgiveness mumbo jumbo is not correct. And I was finding every reason for it not to be, because I thought, and then the whole thing is like, well, you're not really forgiving the other person, you're forgiving yourself for the perception and all this other stuff. So it took me a long time to really just like sink into that. And the Ho'opono really did help me. That the Hawaiian, it's like, I'm sorry, please forgive me, thank you, I love you. That repeating that mantra for myself, just
What did you
really,
call it, friend?
The
it's
Ho'oponopono prayer. Yeah.
Ho'opono. Yeah, it's
I'll
I
send
can
it to you,
send.
Anna.
Yeah, it's basically, and
Thanks.
you can say it in different ways, but it's the basics are, I'm sorry, please forgive me, thank you, I love you. And you're saying that to each individual that you need to forgive, but not, and this is hard to do when you absolutely despise the person, and that you think that it's like, yeah, you shouldn't be here on this planet. You're such a horrible person. That's kind of hard to do. But what I discovered that it did was set me free from in my mind, where it's like I unraveled that energy, that those cords. It is an energetic cord, because as long as you've got some sort of a negative attitude towards somebody in your life, no matter who it is and what they've done, that is going to draw you back. There's that. It's going to take space up in your mind and your consciousness, and you need to be forgiven for that. You need to forgive yourself for, and then let that be transmuted, and the light will come. It's like there's so many different things. I did become a lot lighter with that practice, but I had to go through. And this is an interesting thing too, because once you start on the forgiveness thing, it's like you find yourself going all the way back. I had a lot of birth trauma due to having a very, I'm not going to use that word because it's a harsh one, but it's this doctor was responsible for a lot of birth trauma for thousands of people where I'm from. And I dare I say he was probably part of Project Paperclip. Okay, for those of you that know what I'm talking about. And I had to go all the way back in part of one of my healing sessions. I had to go back and forgive this person for also traumatizing my life for probably the first 10, 12 years, because I was constantly having to go back and I was kind of experimented on a lot of shots. I had to get shots like all the time, even when I wasn't sick. And then I would break out and have all these horrible things, just felt like, I was being poisoned by going there, and and I think many people in my family were. But you got to it will take you, forgiveness will take you to places that you never knew, that people that you never knew that you had to forgive. You know what I mean? So
But do
that's
you
a
know
huge.
how hard that is for an empath? I'm also an empath, but like Tannis, if you worked in corporate and you're an empath, did you not find it hard to say no to people when you realized you had to stop people pleasing?
oh yes. But at the time, I wasn't. I was a different person. Just saying. I was definitely a people pleaser, but I felt it was my job to be that person, just so you know. And it wasn't until I came out of it that my whole perception changed and started becoming my authentic self. Now, it didn't happen overnight, so don't think that this is all just happens in one session or in one clearing or whatever. It's it's work. And but honestly, it's so worth the work. And I think things will happen a lot quicker now because of,
Yeah.
all of the stuff that's been, you know, all the evil and darkness exiting Earth and our beings. But it was definitely, any of you guys that know, it takes quite a while while you're in the dark age still to
Mhm.
get through all the mud. And but anyways, yeah. So as soon as I became more of my authentic self, people started dropping away from me. Because Anna, you were saying too, it's like you need to, get rid of those toxic people in your life. But when you find yourself,
they leave you. They leave you. Yeah.
just happen.
Yeah.
Kind of just go away, because that's your intention anyways. In order for you to be like, what Liz was saying with boundaries, when you set up your boundaries so that you can be 100% authentically you all the time, then these people just drop from your life anyways.
They do. Sometimes you don't have to do anything active, and that's what I recommend. Often they just fade away instead of having to have the conversation. I'm not saying avoid the conversation, but I think you're right. People just tend to fall away. Absolutely.
Well, the problem with being a people pleaser is when you stop being a people pleaser, people don't have the same reaction to you. So, like with me, I started saying no, and you get told you have an attitude, or you're self-righteous now, or they call you names, and that's
Yeah, fuck
another
'em.
reason
Yeah.
they back away. So,
Mhm.
but you just have to grin and bear it. They'll call you names, they'll stop calling, they'll stop coming around, but
That's
they'll get
cool.
over it eventually. And you're
But
doing it
that's
for
okay.
yourself. That is okay.
And you know what? People, unhealed people do? Project.
Oh yeah.
God.
Oh yeah, hurt people for sure.
Yes.
And
But also,
you-
not my circus, not my monkeys. That's what I had to learn to say.
Yeah, that's what I
Right.
always said. Yep.
Yeah.
and I always found that back then, I'm finding it lighter now. Like you had mentioned, the times are changing, so things are lighter. But back when I was really trying to do the work, and the more clear I become, the more intense people became with me. And they're just like, who you think you are now, Jesus?
Yep.
All kinds of things. No, I'm just trying to be clear. Just I'm trying to learn boundaries around people that don't want you to have boundaries or will not respect them is a very challenging thing to do. And that's where I think a lot of people have just kind of give in, and they're just like, okay, forget it. I'm just going to go back to all my old ways, and who cares, because this is way too hard. And I could understand that. It used to be a lot more difficult, I think, for us to wake up and be clear, and there's just always something. There was always something just there to kind of come back. And with all these programs, it's isn't it any wonder that any of us are just made it this far, considering just what all they were trying to dumb us down with, and keep us.
Well, do you remember what Kim said about that?
Say?
She said that even Source sat back and thought, I can't believe, because, when she said Source hadn't seen it from up close, been watching from far away, but when it came really close, Source was like, wow, you all went through so much and you're still here.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. And of course, we're referring to Kimberly Gogan, for those of you that don't know. And yeah, we all are, I think, quite fortunate to be able to have this information and to be assisting the way we can, and with the restoration plan and such, which kind of brings me around to wanting to talk about the restoration and what plans, because I know Tannis has got some plans of her own. I don't know if you want to talk about that or not, but I think that I think we all have our own ideas of what we would like to create in this new earth, and if you would like to, I don't know, do you want to share anything like that, Tannis?
Well, no, that's I can give a brief overview. It's
Okay.
called Healing Hearts Homestead is what I've named it, and basically it's healing on all planes of existence, like, you know, mentally, emotionally, spiritually, energetically, you know, like all your 9 planes or whatever. It's about addressing them all in different ways.
Mhm.
So I mean, it's about like hyper nutritious organic foods. It's growing hemp so that we can eradicate plastics from this earth,
Mhm.
you know, and other building materials and stuff like that too. But hemp also heals the earth as well. Just, I don't know
Yes,
if you guys know much about hemp, but
yes,
Yes.
yeah. Mhm.
Yes.
yeah, it's amazing plant, and I can see why it was squashed in the 1900s.
Mhm.
But anyways, yeah, so also there's like a healing house aspect. There's healing with horses. There's like, you know, frequency healing. There's yeah, that like the connection with nature, you know,
Mhm.
just things like that. And it's all just different ways of healing many aspects of yourself. And in my project proposal, I basically said, it's like, what's your vision? I said, basically, do this until it's not needed, because I believe we're going to get to a place on this earth that we won't need to do all these healing modalities anymore.
Mhm.
It will just be because the earth itself will be so healed that, and we will be as well.
Mhm.
It will be
So
more
that's
maintaining.
sorry, Anna?
It will be more maintaining than healing.
Yeah, basically. You know, none of us really know what it's going to look like, but I just I just have a strong feeling that we won't be needing any of this anymore, because
Mhm.
it's just going to be what the new
Yeah, and I
normal,
think the others
quote
will
unquote,
be,
is.
I think the others, or what people would refer to as a extraterrestrial, or the many different. Um, I think that the beings that have the DNA imprint, whether it be in a um, amphibious form or insect form or whatever, they're going to eventually return here to this living library of of, uh, of different beings, and I think they've got a lot to teach us, these benevolent ones. And I think we're
Yep.
going to probably need healing and this an integration process with them. But once they're here, the energy that they're going to bring in from these, it's going to be so incredibly high that our frequency level is going to raise, and then we'll be maintaining in that 5th dimensional space, where right now we're kind of all over the place. We're like in the lower octaves of the 3rd dimension, and we're like reaching some of the heights of the 5th, 6th, and even 7th at times. But we're just
Well,
kind of all
look,
over the map.
may I put it out there, just in case they're listening? You are so welcome to come early. I will put on tea. I will get biscuits. You can come anytime.
Oh goodness, yeah. And yeah, I wonder what they like to eat.
Exactly.
Or
Let's
if they
hope for
eat.
them.
Pardon?
I would
I
say,
didn't
or
hear
if
that.
they eat. Yeah.
Or yeah, probably.
Oh, yes. I was actually
Probably.
watching a lot of alien abduction videos today, as you do. I went deep diving on that. And
As you
a lot of
do.
them, right, a lot of them were saying these aliens they never ate, they just thought of what it is they wanted and it appeared. And I remember being told that that's one day we'll go back to that, where you won't need anything, you can just make it appear. You won't need to go and get anything, you can just think, I want a ham sandwich, and there it is.
And you just eat for entertainment or to fellowship with us humans, you know.
Yeah, and I kind of want a ham sandwich now.
I heard that too, Liz.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
Tannis, I have a question for you. How did you come upon your Halo system? Can you describe that a little bit?
Okay. So basically, over 2 years ago, I was going to become an SRT facilitator, the thing that I was talking to you guys at first. But the founder and creator of the SRT system passed away, and they were no longer doing SRT workshops or things. So the lady that lives close to me up here in northern Alberta, she had been working with Source to create a new charting system, like I said, similar to SRT. So she got the go ahead. It's like, well, this is the time. This is this is your gateway basically to launch Halo. And so she almost had it done. So I was one of her first students, and I just took it and I loved it and went straight forward. But like what I had talked to Kelly before too, is that it's a thing in progress, because over 2 years ago, Earth wasn't the same place when she created this. And, you know, nothing against this lady, but things are different now 2 years later, you know? So I have modified the Halo system to, based on, you know, Kim's intel that she gives us weekly about, even like most recently, the word transmute, because you said like energy cannot be destroyed. So I'm like, abso-freaking-lutely it can't. So I'm just like this. So then everything was, you know, transmute instead of remove and, you know, clear and blah, blah, blah. Like I added the word transmute into it. And there's just so many beautiful things that I get from, you know, Kim and other, I think, enlightened individuals on this, you know, that I'm in contact with, that just gives me all these ideas of what can and will be cleared for us, and in you know, in its capacity. Because I mean, it just keeps changing. I keep writing more clearings, the more intel I get from Kim, and or directly from source, or other people, and it's just an amazing journey. It's
Oh, exciting.
Yeah, I think, yeah, Anna, I think you'll really love the work. And anybody else out there that's considering, Tannis is really good at what she does. Just make sure you've got enough time, you know, have some time to yourself beforehand. Make sure you're very well hydrated, like she suggested to me as well. So I drink a lot of water, and, you know, and I you know, sat and I meditated a little bit. And then, you know, by the time we were going, it's like, I think, what, 3 hours and 15 minutes, and it didn't even seem like maybe an hour and a half at the most. I was like, wow, you know, just I've been in this bubble, you know, while clearing stuff. But it's like rewriting all of these different scripts is what it felt like. I just felt like everything was being rewritten in my subconscious. And yeah, very powerful.
Well, I definitely want to try it, because I love to try all new things just to see how it goes with me. And if I like it, then I'll stick with it if it works for me, which is a massive point to make to people. Not everybody is for every single modality. You have to find what works for you. And just because something worked amazingly for this person, don't get frustrated if it doesn't work for you. That just might not be your thing.
exactly.
Yeah.
And that's why I love that there's so many people out there that have so many different ways to clear different stuff. Like when I first started doing energy work, I started with Reiki, and I became a Reiki master teacher. And then I did Psych K. You guys know who Dr. Bruce Lipton is, right?
Yeah, yeah.
And he advocates the Psych K, and I did level 1 and 2. Like this is when I was still the corporate manager and I could afford all these courses. But
it will get better.
but anyways, you know, and then you just dabbled here and dabbled there, and but when I found Halo, this was me. This was what my thing was, and that I was supposed to do, because it really, really resonated with me. And you're right, Anna, it doesn't resonate with everybody. But it's good that there's so many other facilitators with other modalities out there that can
Yes, it's true, because sorry, Tannis, there's 8.5 billion of us on the planet. We need lots of healers, don't we? Or people who facilitate healing, I'll put it that way. And also I'll add to what Anna said, which is there may be a season where someone comes to see Tannis or Anna or Kelly, right? So you maybe have a season of this sort of healing or that sort of healing.
Yes.
And then
someone else
sign me up for it all. You know, it's like you know, it's like Tannis and I are trading work right now, and it's like I love the genius, and it's like it's been very, very helpful for me in many, many different ways. But I get something out of everything, and I'm looking forward to the time when it's, you know, that I can experience things that I haven't tried before, and get back to things that I miss, like cranial sacral work and those kind of things. You know, it's like I haven't had a massage in years at this point, and I used to get a massage at least like once every couple of months, and that would really help my stress levels. But yeah, it's like, yeah, I welcome anything and everything, and I'm open to doing trades and things like that as well.
And you
And
know,
I
our
was-
listeners, oh, sorry, Anna, you know, our listeners out there, by the way, if you're a burgeoning or nascent healing facilitator,
Mm.
when you work with someone, you get the healing too. It's a little
Mhm.
secret. Mhm.
Mhm.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Yes, I
And-
was sorry. I was reminded. Yeah, it's gone. You carry on, Tannis. That's what happens if I don't speak immediately. You carry on. He'll come back.
It's okay.
Sorry,
It's okay, Anna. Oh shoot! Now see, I just got the Anna thing.
Stop it, everybody. Stop it. We're going to stop that right now. Cancel
Oh dear.
clearly.
Oh yes, yes, I remembered. Yes, I remembered.
Go ahead.
If you are struggling to know where to start, a really good piece of advice I heard was go towards something that you enjoy doing, a subject that you enjoy, like nature or arts or crafts or cycling. And then a lot of the time, if you do a subject or go near something that you really enjoy doing, there's a reason you really enjoy doing it, and you'll probably find your way into something that's meant for you. So that's a good place to start if you don't know how to start
Mhm.
Yeah.
with the healing of yourself.
Yes.
You
I
know what
agree.
that
Yeah.
do
It's
is
so,
peace.
yes.
Is inner peace. When you do the stuff that you love, you find the inner peace. And when you find that inner peace, you don't want to get rid of it.
Yes.
Oh yeah, I find that doing your greatest passion as much as you're able to every day, as long as for all the knowledge and finances, resources, and time that you have, living out your best passion, to repeat what you guys have said. I think it's super important, and it leads you to that next inspired action of where you should be and what you should be doing. I agree.
Well, there's a reason you love it so much.
Yeah,
Mhm.
that's how Source made you to experience this world.
Right, and our
And to
gifts
grow.
are most of our gifts anyway, the things that we're attracted to don't really cost, they're just one of those things that we just need to practice a little bit. Like I love making music and I love singing. And I can do that with just about anything. It's like I don't necessarily need instruments to make music, but it's helpful. But it can be a very expensive habit too if I want to get into crazy production. But you can, just play a drum or tap on something and sing a tune, whatever. There's always something that we're good at that doesn't really cost anything except our time, and that's just something
Ooh.
we should.
And
Yeah.
empty out your cup every single morning, ready for more stuff to learn that day.
Right. Because we don't, that's an excellent point to bring up, Anna, because
Mhm.
you know what you talked a little bit about before, Kelly? There's a thing truthfully called like a spiritual ego. And
Oh yeah,
I've so many people that think that they're so this,
it's the
and I'm
ugliest
like,
of all egos
oh
too.
my
Yeah.
goodness, like
Uh-huh.
empty your cup, please. Like
I know we
Yeah.
we
find,
don't
yeah, the
we
three
don't
of us, sorry,
have the
Tannis.
answers.
Yes, Tannis, sorry to interrupt you, but the three of us talk about that all the time. Someone will have a
Yeah.
little knowledge or begin their awareness or begin their awakening, and they're like, they know it all, and they want to connect you back to God because you haven't been connected, et cetera, et cetera. It's so funny and sort of
Oh yeah.
disheartening at the same time.
Yes. Yes.
Well, I
Yeah,
had the offer to have my cord reconnected by the only person who could do it. He was the only person who could do it, apparently. I was like, oh dear. But
Yeah,
yeah.
needless to say, he had to get banned, unfortunately. But yes, because well, and the threat, you get people that will threaten you too if they get their spiritual ego bruised too. That yeah, how dare you, so yeah, it's an interesting one for sure.
Yeah, so Tannis, back to you for a second. You are our guest after all. We're all very chatty. How is a session with you kind of work? Can you give us the structure of it a little bit?
Sure. Like we do kind of like a prep to work steps where, to make sure that, our space is protected and that I'm connecting with the best, high self member or whatever of your team. And, we have to be under 3% ego and at 100% neutral. Okay, both of ourselves, right? And then we just start on at the home chart, and my pendulum is led to the first chart that we go to, and we go to that chart and we do everything that needs to be done there, that comes up for you. The one thing, okay, I'm just gonna like do a sideline here. I really love the fact that I started doing this over 2 years ago when we were in a different world, energetically, because for one thing, you know, there's 3 different things. It's like current, past, and future. Okay, that this energy or this program could be lying in. And when Kim said that flip happened, okay,
Mhm.
that everything went into one timeline, everything became current. I never had any past or future things that come up ever. It always comes up current. I didn't tell you that, Kelly, but
Wow.
it's very interesting.
Makes sense.
Also, one thing that did, so like once you do all your charts, because it tells you where to go and blah blah blah, and when you're done. So when you're done, we do this thing where you just kind of wrap things up, okay? And the cleanup, and it's called the cleanup crew. But the cleanup crew, one of the things is that you can, they can, like, after all it's been said and done in this session, they can now go in and clear more stuff for you because of the work that you just did with all those other charts and clearings. Okay, so when I first started doing the halo, I was maybe getting like 10, 12 different layers and items that the cleanup crew could do.
Oh, right.
Now it's in the 90s, 80s,
Wow.
90s.
88 for
Like,
me. Mhm.
Yeah, right. Yeah,
Mhm.
yours was an abundance number, but yeah, it's just amazing how it went from like 12 to 15 to like 80s and 90s
Wow.
now,
Do you get
right?
downloads, a lot of downloads while you're doing it for a client?
Well, sometimes I get, because I connect to spirit as well, you know, and sometimes that happens, but usually
I would
because
say
I,
you do.
you know, what's that, Kelly?
I was gonna say I would say you do, or at least I was anyway. So
Okay.
yeah.
And
Tannis,
the other,
Tannis, sorry, what great proof that times have changed and energy has changed. I love that.
there's one more aspect too, Liz, is one of the things is that I ask before we close things off is how many other souls received a clearing because of the client session, right? Because when we do our work, help others, right? We're all part of the consciousness.
Yeah.
And when I was doing it before, like 2 years ago, up until recently, it was basically 3, 5. That's about it. Now it's in the 30s and 40s.
Oh, you just
Yeah.
reminded me actually of has everyone heard of the monkey faces experiment?
No,
No.
I don't
No.
think so.
So this is a real experiment the scientists did. I can't remember when, but they went to Australia and they showed a picture to 100 people. No, sorry, they showed a picture to people, and it had 100 monkey faces in the picture, and they asked how many people could find, and roughly, I might be getting this a little bit wrong, but roughly they found about 10. So then they went over to England. They showed the same picture, and then they showed the people that were looking at the picture where all the faces were. And then they went back to Australia, and then they got the same group of people to look again to see if they could see, and then they could all see the monkey faces. So they were proving that when you went mass, they were proving mass consciousness, basically.
It's the 100.
So,
So it's basically the 100th monkey experiment, but only with faces. So because they've done the 100th monkey experiment over time, over the past several decades, with different kind of experiments, and that sounds like one that I wasn't really aware of. But yeah.
Well, this one was to prove that that these people originally couldn't see the faces, but once you showed these people over here in a different country, their mass consciousness raised. So then these people over here now suddenly understood where to look for the monkeys. That
Sure,
was science
makes
time
sense.
with Anna.
Yeah, that's based on some of the work of Rupert Sheldrake and all that stuff. It's
That's his-
fascinating. And
yeah.
that's why it's really good if you have to take a standardized test or do the New York Times crossword puzzle to don't do it on the first day. You do it later and then you do pick up on information from the mass consciousness, which goes back to the earlier part of our conversation, which is you can actually filter what comes in and make sure you're not getting the suicidal or depressive thoughts, et cetera, for someone driving down your street or something like that.
Well, my point was, so every time someone heals, you're actually helping everybody else to heal just a little bit better too.
Exactly.
Right. Exactly.
Mass consciousness.
Well, folks, we are
Sorry.
coming up on the hour a little bit, but before we end, I know we're not ending this minute, but I want to make sure, Tannis, that we have your contact information, how people can reach you.
Yes.
And when we post this, I know Kelly will put your information and information in the podcast. But Tannis, how can people reach you?
Well, if they're on Telegram, my handle is at tstuck, TEESTUCK. But I mean, like, I'm kind of everywhere anyways in Telegram, but the my website is www.tannisstuckless.com. So
Two ends. Two ends.
yeah.
And
Yeah.
feel free to give telepathy a go. You can always give that a go.
Yeah.
Well, to
That's
your
right.
point, I think that we end up meeting the healers, the facilitators that we're meant to meet through mass consciousness and through our own increased awareness. We bump into the people we need to be working with, et cetera.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And I use other people's and their modalities too, because even though I do Halo sessions on myself, guys, I love to do different things with other people because I don't think
Mhm.
there's just one thing for like anybody. I think we need a bunch of things to help us through the many different layers and of crap that's been put on us throughout humanity for millennia.
Yeah, it's like different vitamins and nutrients, you know?
Yeah, exactly. Yep.
Great.
That different
No.
strokes for different folks.
Yeah.
So Tannis,
Yeah.
any final thoughts for the masses and for us's before we close out today?
Well, self-love is where we're all, I think that a lot of us don't know what self-love is. And I want to know what that is myself, truly, and in all depths. Okay. You know, we are all working on ourselves, but a lot of, let's just all work together, doing our own healing.
Yeah.
and learn to love ourselves truly,
Yeah.
authentically, in all ways. And I think that's how we're going to get through all of this together.
Mhm. Yeah, me too. And I'm so glad that you accepted coming on here because this has been one of the things that has been on my mind. At first, I wanted to just, I didn't know what this was going to be. I just was getting the message. It's like, do a podcast. It's, well, okay, well, what it's going to be about? It's like, what are we going to talk about? And this, I can't think of anything better to talk about than what we've discussed today, is like, you know, self-healing and learning to love each other and ourselves and love each other as well. Because what's interesting about our group is there's not that many of us, you know, and we can't really talk to a lot of other people about whether it be Kim or Care or, you know, United Network News, but it's such an honor and such I am so grateful that I've met you guys and am able to work with you guys and communicate. And I think just building this bridge of communication with us and extending out to the you know, to the people, we're finally kind of making connections and getting to know each other, and that really is, that just warms my heart
Well, this
where,
is how I see it, Kelly. You know, maybe I don't know if it happens over where you are, but here we have these inset days where when the kids are going back to school at the beginning of a term, they miss a couple of days at the beginning of the term because the teachers have to go in first and, you know, set up for the rest of
yeah,
the term.
that's
I
similar
think
here.
this, our small group of people who are here now with UNN and Care and everything, we're just here setting up and waiting for the kids to come in and start their term. So we have everything set up for them. That's what I see it as.
I
So
like it. I like it.
everyone's on an inset day right now whilst we set up the classrooms. Yeah.
I like it.
Yeah, you too. Good
I
analogy.
like it. I like it. Well, everyone, are we prepared to
Thank you.
begin to end our fine time here today?
Yeah, yeah, it's been great.
Yeah,
Thank you for coming on.
it was a pleasure being here today.
Yeah.
Yes, thank you, Tannis.
I'm going to stop the recording and we can stay
Okay,
on.
thanks, everybody.
Thanks,
Yes,
everybody.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Please